Hello and welcome back to the Common Sense Core, where honestly, y'all, we're just trying to figure it the fuck out, just like everybody else. My name is Kelvin. I'm back with my co host, Nathan, and we got a show for you today, ladies and gentlemen.
Oh, absolutely. Hey, Kelvin, I got a question for you, man.
All right, what is it?
So, all this craziness going on and everything, right? We got
Yeah.
we got other like podcasters and talk show people talking about this. If you weren't going to live in America, the United States of America, some people get touchy when you say America. It's like, well, a bunch of stuff is America. The United States of America.
Yeah.
If you weren't going to live here, where would you live?
Oh, oh, buddy. I don't know. There's a lot of places I could live, I suppose. I do have an affinity for the ocean.
Hmm.
So there's probably a high likelihood that I end up in the Caribbean or the Caribbean or whatever it's called.
Yeah, I'm not sure on Caribbean versus Caribbean.
I would end up around that
That
ocean where there's the warm water, the white sand. Um, you know, I think somewhere in the islands would be nice. I could do Southern Europe, right? Like the Mediterranean Sea, Greece, the south of France, Italy, somewhere like that, Spain. I definitely have to go somewhere warm and somewhere where the US dollar goes further than maybe here. What about you?
yeah. You know, and it's funny because we talked about this a little bit before, and my go-to is Thailand, right? I don't have a ton of experience outside of the United States besides airports, um, and places the army took me, which I'm sure were great back in the day,
Yeah.
um, and Thailand. And I had a great time in Thailand. I learned how to scuba dive. I mean, Thai food and Mexican food are my favorite, hands down. Well, excuse me, if steak isn't an option, obviously a
Yeah, but
ribeye
that's
ribeye reigns supreme.
is
But
steak
if
an
we're going,
American food though? Is that considered American food? Where does
you
steak
know,
originate? The
I
British thing?
I don't know. I think steak has got to go all the way back to the cavemen, right? Because you're taking parts of an animal, roasting it over a fire, right? I think steak is pretty universal. You know, I
I could live
would
with
I
that
would
answer.
I would argue with anyone who tries to say steak is from a particular country. There are some countries that do steak very well, right? Because they're into beef, like Japan, obviously with Wagyu.
Ooh.
I mean, the great state of Texas,
Yeah,
you
baby.
know, that
We are our own country, as
yeah,
Donald Trump's hand signals would suggest. We are our own country here. Okay. I saw a shirt in the store. I told you this the other day, Nate. I saw a shirt in the store. It was at Shields, which is a big sporting goods store. Shout out to Shields.
mm,
Amazing store. It's got an indoor Ferris wheel. But anyway, saw a shirt that said American until Texas secedes. And buddy, I just got to
I
tell you, I'm
you know
there.
what? I like it. I like. By the way, I just looked up the pronunciation. So American pronunciation is Caribbean.
Okay, so I said it right.
Yeah.
And so,
Yeah,
but
yeah, you had it. But you
they say
second guessed
Caribbean.
yourself. Yeah.
Well, but
Do
you know what
they?
it is? Yeah, my wife, Amari, her
Yeah.
family is all from the islands. Like her mom grew up in Barbados. Her
Hmm.
dad, his family originates in Dominica, not to be confused with the Dominican Republic. Dominica is
Yep.
its own thing, ladies and gentlemen. Um, so I've heard it both ways, I suppose. So I'm not always 100% sure how to say it, but Caribbean works for me.
There we
Yeah.
go.
All
You
right.
know.
So Thailand,
Okay.
you'd go to
So
Thailand.
I yes, but I am unsure without proper knowledge of how most of these countries operate. Right. Obviously, Thailand is going to be and it is. It's a lot different than the United States, and some of it good, some of it bad, right? I mean,
Isn't
if you
Bangkok in Thailand?
Bangkok is in Thailand actually, and funny story on that. So I totally thought I was gonna go to a ping pong show right, when I was in Thailand,
Hmm.
right? Ladies and gentlemen, if you don't know what that is, go ahead and throw it into the Google unless you're on your work computer. Don't do that.
Not safe for work.
Not safe for work. So I was gonna go to a ping pong show.
Hmm.
And this happens a lot, man. Like I notice I get all talk on stuff, and then when I'm actually there, I'm like, I don't know about this. So I'm walking down Kosan Road, like buying shorts and stuff. I think I bought an empty suitcase to like pack full of BS, right, to bring back home with me. All that. Anyway, some guy, because they have what their version of promoters, right? The people that stand on the corner handing out the flyers. They try and get you
Yeah.
into the clubs and stuff. And so he's coming up, going ping pong, ping pong. And immediately I was like, you know what? Actually, no, thank you. But Bangkok is a lot of fun. A lot of fun. They have a cool monorail around the city and lots of cool malls. I almost went and saw a movie in Thailand, but I decided I didn't. Even though I like subtitles, I don't like them that much. But the diving was great. Cruising around the country. I didn't stay in all the touristy areas, and I took a shipping, like a shipping ship, cargo ship. There we go. I hitched a ride on a cargo ship to get out to this one island. So I did a little bit of the backpacker thing. I wasn't there too terribly long. It was like 2 weeks,
That's
but
pretty long.
it was a good amount of time, but it's never quite enough when you're on vacation and you're doing fun stuff. But but I would say Thailand. Right off the bat, one thing I do know that I wouldn't like is that if you're foreign, you're not really owning property out there, right? So you gotta link up with a Thai, and even then, it's like 100-year land lease from the king, something like that, right?
I think they do that in
So
Mexico for Americans as well.
you know what? I've heard of that. Yeah,
Mhm.
that the King of the Hill did an episode. Speaking of Texas
Did
and
they?
Mexico, King of the Hill
Dude,
did an
I love
episode.
that show. I love that
It's
show.
and I hear they're coming back too. I hear
No
they're
way.
coming back, but yeah, who was it? I think it was Hank's dad. I killed 50 men.
And
He was trying to he was trying to buy a timeshare down there
okay.
in Mexico, and Hank's trying to tell him, hey, Americans can't own property in Mexico, Dad.
Yeah.
But yeah, I would say Thailand, I guess. It'd be a big culture shock. If not for Thailand, I would say, Southern Europe, like you were talking about, somewhere in the Mediterranean. I don't know if our dollar would go too far out there right now, but
Nah.
but
I don't
and
know if
and
our dollar's going far anywhere these days.
no, and the thing, the thing is too is when we talk about living in a country outside of America,
Mhm.
one, I don't think we'd ever actually abandon this country because we actually care about this country.
Yeah. Hence
But
the
then,
podcast.
but two, you know, the whole reason we're doing this podcast because we care about our country, we care about the way things run,
Mhm.
and moving to another country, man, we're not gonna have it there like we do here. If we go somewhere else, we have no rights to say anything about the culture, the way things operate, the laws, anything like that. So that would be tough, right? But sometimes southern France sounds really good. I would love to go hang out in Venice, Italy.
Dude, I want to go to Barcelona, Spain so badly.
Excuse you, it's Barcelona.
I speak English. Okay. I apologize to all of my Barcelonians or whatever they're called. My Spaniards. Listen, I want to come. I want to have siesta with you. I want to have a good time. Listen, I think of all of the southern European countries I could go to, I think Spain is definitely high on the list. South of France for sure. I don't know how to say it. I think it's Nietzsche, but it spells nice. Have you seen that one on
Nice? Yeah.
I could get with that. Italy, of course, But
I mean the food.
I'm not a big pasta guy, man.
Okay, but here's the thing though. The pasta over there, as far as I know, right? Because I haven't been to Italy. The closest I've been to Italy was an airport in Romania. All right. But what I do understand is that the food is different because of all the stuff we put in our food. So their pasta is different. Their grains are different. And I mean, I don't know. Maybe I'm buying into the stereotype, but do you see a ton of fat Italians roaming around when you see videos and movies in Italy. I think all the fat Italians are in America for the most part.
They're in New York.
You know?
Yeah. I don't know, man. I think that's a hard question. I don't know if there's a country. Honestly, I really like it here in Texas, to be very honest with you. There's some places in America that I would not like to live. So I think that's the unique thing about this country is that you have 50 almost nation states, right? They all have their own kind of culture. They all have their own customs and so on and so forth. And you can get just about anything you want here. If you want more of a Canadian feel, you hit the border states up there, the Northeast and the North Midwest, you're gonna get some of that flair. Um, I think America is such a unique place because of the size of the landmass itself and the way that we structured this federal system
Oh yeah.
that you could probably get most of what you want. Like I could move to Hawaii. I mean, theoretically, right? I ain't got that kind of money today, but
Mm,
you can move to Hawaii. I mean, there's a lot of beach in this country outside of California and Florida. And I don't think people really
yeah.
understand that Texas has a lot of beach, right?
Texas has a lot.
Alabama's got some beach. You
The
know,
the Gulf though, that water is not as picturesque as say Laguna Beach. And I'm
hey
always
man,
gonna say
listen,
Laguna Beach. That's one of my favorite spots.
the further you get South Texas, close to Mexico, those beaches become Mexico style beaches real quick, brother. South Padre Island is amazing. White sand, warm water. And that's really what I'm looking for, right? This is gonna be controversial to some of y'all, and we're gonna move on here in a second. I don't very much care for California beaches. The water's
Oh
the water's cold. The water's cold. I feel like unless you're on a private beach, there's a lot of people out there. I
yeah,
want to be able to enjoy the water, and that's not something that I feel like you can do a lot of times in California. It's got to be hot,
yeah.
right? Like it's got to be hot, hot. Because if you go out there on an 85-degree day, it's gonna be you're gonna freeze to death. You better put on a wetsuit and out that piece, bro. Like, you know
I
what I'm
mean
saying?
that's all I do. If I'm getting in the water at the beach, it's with a surfboard or my scuba gear.
Nah, man. Look, when I was in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, warm water, nice,
Love Myrtle Beach. Love
nice.
Myrtle Beach.
You know what I'm saying? When I'm here in Texas, some of our beaches here, warm water, nice sand. I think
Yep.
California is one of the most picturesque places we have in this nation. When you factor in the hills and the sea and the sunny, it's beautiful. It really is
Yeah.
beautiful. It's just so fucked up in
It is.
California.
It is. And too, uh, you obviously know this, but for the viewers and listeners, I grew up in Huntington Beach, California.
Mm,
Super thankful for where I grew up. It was, I was mostly there I was born in 88. So I was there all through the 90s and early 2000s, class of '06. Um, and I left California in '07, right? And then I was gone for a while, lived there for a year, in like 2012, right? But um, the one thing that I always remember is even when you live there, man, you don't go to the beach as often as you would think because you're busy living your everyday life. You got to go
yeah,
to work or school. You got to take care of the kids. You got to do all this stuff to be able to live there.
yeah,
So going to I mean, they think about it. When we get off of work, man, I barely want to go to the store to pick up what we need. Right now, imagine getting off of work and thinking about packing the kids in the car and hitting the beach for even an hour. It's too much, man.
Well,
So
that's the
it,
thing. I think most people get caught up in the idea of being close to the beach as
hmm
opposed to I'm actually going to spend time. It's the idea that at any moment I could go 5 miles that way and I could be at the beach and I could see the
hmm
water. And that's great. It is great. But if you do it once or twice a year, what's the difference between you and me? I see the beach maybe once or twice a year, right? I'm not right
hmm
next door. I get there, and when I get there, I enjoy myself. I'm there for a few days. I'm doing my thing. I'm sipping margaritas or whatever on the beach. But you live here, and you ain't never seen the beach. You ain't been to the beach this year. How many
yeah,
people in California are like that? You know what I'm saying?
a lot,
Yes, I
a
imagine.
lot, you know. But speaking of California,
Okay.
one of the things that I'd like to touch on real quick, and we're gonna start talking about a couple things, but one of the things about my home state that is really bothering me lately is, Xi Jinping, all the Chinese government, bunch of important people came out to
Hmm.
San Francisco, right, to talk to our important people. And they cleaned up San Francisco so nice.
Yeah.
Cleaned the streets, picked up all the poop, shooed the homeless people away from, anywhere that the
Yeah.
important people were going to be.
Hmm.
And to me, it highlights that they could do that. They could do that at any time.
Yeah.
They could keep San Francisco nice. Our
Yeah.
government can do things when they want to do things,
Yeah.
right? And so, without getting into conspiracy theories, saying, "Oh, well, making it nice for the people who are going to buy it," right? Which there is truth to that. A lot of California is owned by Chinese
Hmm.
interests,
Hmm.
but it just really irks me to see what my home state is doing, right? I mean, San Francisco, one of the greatest places on earth, right, has just been overrun by just drugs, petty crime, all of it. And so much so that businesses are pulling out. People don't want to live there.
Yeah.
There's mass wealth inequality, and without getting into all that, right? The social media companies and tech boom, right?
Yeah.
It's just it highlights that the government can do things when they want to do things, when the
Yeah.
government deems it important, right? And they don't deem us very important.
Mm.
They just don't, and they show us all the
Yeah.
time, right? And one of the things I'd like our viewers to remember is, don't don't listen to what I say, watch what I do.
Mm.
And that's exactly how we need to treat these politicians, right? The other thing that's really bothering me, and unfortunately it's coming out of the left again, this time not Gavin Newsom, but one of the things we were talking about, Nancy Pelosi, right? Nancy Pelosi coming out against third parties. And it's
Hmm.
not cool. And the things what was it she said? What was that one line, that one quote?
You know
It
what?
really got us.
Let's pull it up. Let's pull it up for the
Let's pull it
viewers.
up.
Uh,
Here, I
yeah.
got it.
Here, let's get that pulled up so we can give you guys a taste of just what some of these Democrats believe, right? And listen. I want to preface this by saying that we are going to criticize the parties heavily, heavily, both of them. Neither is exempt from this work. You know what I'm saying? Like, if you've watched our introduction, if you've watched what we're about, the one thing that we really believe in is that we need to divorce ourselves from these parties and this two-party system, and we need to foster in a world where we think freely, right? That's what it is. You got to pull it up, Nate.
Yeah.
All right.
Got these ads getting in the way. Common Sense Corps brought to you by DeWalt.
Hey, if y'all want to support the show, do
Hey,
well.
that'd be excellent.
Hey,
That'd be
I'll
excellent.
take some of them tools, baby. But
Dude, I've
anyways,
been dealing with these plumbing issues. I'm ready. All right.
right. But
So,
let's look at Nancy Pelosi hits the panic button over a third party group in 2024. Now let's step back for a second before I let Nate here dive into the line, and we'll put the link in the comments here. Or in the comments or in the bio section of this video so you can read this for yourself. But the one thing that really irritates me is why would we need to hit a panic button for giving the people of the United States other options? Why is that something to panic over? And I think these are the things that you should ask yourself as an American citizen. Why is more options for you? Why are additional people in the race to choose from a bad thing? Because let's think about this, right? As far as everything looks right now, the best two people that we can come up with out of 330 million are two like 80-year-olds, one of which doesn't know where he is a majority of the time, and the other one's getting indicted for everything under the sun. Whether you agree with that or not is irrelevant. You have two people that are seemingly unfit for federal office, and that's what's being shoved down our throat. So let's get into this.
shoved.
Let's get
Shoved.
into
Well,
this.
to answer your question, why is she hitting the panic button? I think she tells us right down here. Pelosi justified her criticism, saying, "When they jeopardize the re-election of Joe Biden as president of the United States, I can no longer remain silent on that." And that's really where, when you and I were talking about this where we both took umbrage,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. I'm upset
It
about that.
is not up to her. It is not up to the DNC. It is not up to the RNC, the GOP, any of them. It is
Mhm.
not up to our politicians who the president is going to be. Technically, sure, we have the electors, right? Um, but this is supposed to be the will of the people. And if the will of the people say we want more options, then it is their job to let that happen. It is
100%.
they work for
100%.
us. This when it jeopardizes the reelection. Now I understand. I understand. Nancy Pelosi is a Democrat. She's gonna be, loyal to the incumbent Democrat president.
Yeah. But hold on. See,
But
I have a problem with that. I have a problem with that. Yes, Nancy Pelosi is a Democrat. Yes, Marjorie Taylor Greene is a Republican, but their loyalty should be to us. Okay,
yes,
their loyalty should not be. It should not be party over people, and that's the problem that we have with a lot of these politicians is they will do anything for their party as opposed to doing what needs to be done for us. Like you just said, they can clean up San Francisco when Xi Jinping comes in,
hmm
right? Like
a dictator.
a dictator that we don't like. Like, listen, I get it. Gavin Newsom is running a shadow presidential ticket run or whatever. He's running for
hmm
president. He's not admitting it. He's pretending. Matter of fact, he and Ron DeSantis have a debate this week. We're gonna cover that debate on this show.
Yeah, and what a terrible move for Ron
You know what I'm
DeSantis
saying?
to do this.
Stupid. But anyway,
Like,
Nancy Pelosi, I get it. You got to be loyal to your party. You got to be loyal to your president. But that should not trump. No pun intended. That should not trump the will of the people. And here's what frustrates me the most. I went earlier and I looked up the No Labels group that's running this. They are
Mhm.
looking for a unity ticket, meaning a Democrat and a Republican on the same ticket. They are trying to push the parties together. They are trying to force the parties to work together. Now, I'm not a rocket scientist, right? But that sounds like a pretty sweet deal to me, especially when I see what's going on in this country with our politicians. The fact that our politicians on either side of the party will get absolutely cannibalized by their own party for working with a member of the opposite team is stupid.
look at
It's
what happened at
stupid.
Tulsi Gabbard.
Yeah, they
Look-
kicked Tulsi. They got listen. They did Tulsi so dirty that
So dirty.
She's now speaking at CPAC.
Yeah,
You're talking
yeah.
about somebody who believes that Medicare for all is a real thing. She's speaking at CPAC.
Well, okay, but also look at what they're doing to RFK Jr. right now. This man is for reparations,
Yeah,
and he is being villainized by the
yeah,
Democrats.
yeah,
And
yeah.
why is he being villainized? Because he's an adult in the room that's willing to do work and work with whoever he needs to for the American people. And these two major parties, they cannot abide by it because what do I always say? If there are no problems to fix, there is nothing for these people to run on. There's nothing for these people to lie to us about. There is no incentive for our politicians to actually fix anything. If everything is fixed, then why do we need them? If they fix too much, they don't have a job. They are
hmm
actually incentivized
hmm
to continue the problems, make the problems worse, blame each other,
Yeah,
and try to win our votes. That's it. They're not in the business of solving our problems,
dude.
ladies
When
and
you
gentlemen.
talk
They're in the business of trying to get our votes. That is it.
100%, 100%. And you know what's interesting? Um, what's my boy's name from West Virginia? Joe Manchin.
Nathan. Oh.
He ain't from West Virginia, man.
No.
Let me carry on. Joe Manchin just announced that he will not be seeking re-election in West Virginia as its junior or senior senator, whatever. One of the things he said is, wouldn't it be an interesting idea if you had term limits for every office? Like, imagine if you only got 6 years in Congress, how much could potentially get done when you can't die in office anymore? And I think that's an interesting thing that we'll talk through on some different episodes because I think there's a lot of cool ideas about how we can structure
Mhm.
term limits to make sense for the American people. Because truthfully, I've been not someone historically that supports term limits on certain things because I think if the American people are informed and engaged in the process, they should be able to keep a politician in power, if you will, that's doing a good job. The problem is our lazy asses don't want to pay attention, right? We
Not
don't
at all.
we don't understand how politics actually works. We don't understand we got to pay attention to who our representative is. You know, the only thing that I think average Americans understand is presidential elections, gubernatorial elections, and maybe the occasional, hey, thumbs up, did you see that? And
Yeah.
maybe the occasional senatorial race or Senate race, right? But
Mhm.
let's jump into this other article, because I think what Nancy Pelosi is saying is not in a vacuum.
It's not.
This is something that many politicos subscribe to, right? Look at this. Look at this headline here.
Rob
Rob
Ryan.
Ryan, yeah, he criticizes third-party voters. You are voting against American democracy. So again, we have this idea that somehow giving the people more options is a direct threat to democracy. I mean, does that sound silly to
Wild.
anybody else?
Wild. Well, and down here argued that voting for anyone other than President Joe Biden is detrimental to American democracy. Look, like people say stuff like this, right? Since the advent of social media, it gave everybody a bullhorn to shout into the void, right? And I do it. I do it on Facebook all the time. Anybody listening to this who's my Facebook friend, they can tell you. I put random. I shout into the void. All right, I'm like an old man at this point. But when when we have people in the public eye saying things like this, it gets stuck in people's heads, and people aren't paying attention. So when that person who isn't paying attention but got that little piece of voting third party is
Mm-hmm.
detrimental to democracy, that might
Yeah,
get stuck in there, and then that soccer mom, that that construction worker dad, that parent, that regular average American who doesn't have time to sit down and do a ton of research and everything, they're gonna ping, third party is negative. I hear
yeah,
third party is negative. I've heard it enough times. I'm gonna roll with that,
yeah,
right? And that's what happens. And I would go so far as to say, and I've said it before. Anyone who tells you that a third party vote is a waste of your vote,
yeah.
that person does not care about you.
No.
You should always vote your conscience. You
Mm-hmm.
should always vote who you want to be president. You should vote your candidate. Furthermore, you should know why you're voting your candidate,
Gotta pay
right?
attention, guys. Gotta pay attention.
Got to. But this
But look at
this
this. Hold
this
on, real quick.
idea that third party is bad is
Well, yeah.
crazy.
I mean, look at it right here in this second paragraph. A vote for no labels is a vote for Trump. A vote for Bobby Kennedy is a vote for Trump. A vote for Cornel West is a vote for Trump. A vote for Jill Stein is a vote for Trump. The only vote not for Trump is a vote for Biden. And what I think is the most disingenuous part of that is just look at the common sense of the situation. No. A vote for Bobby Kennedy or RFK Jr. is a vote for RFK Jr.
Hmm.
Right? If I decide to check the box for RFK Jr., I have now voted for him. If he
Yep.
wins 20% of the vote, that's 20% of people that want him to be the president. That's not
Hmm.
wasted votes. That's 20% of people bucking this system that we have put in place that makes you believe that there's only two options, right? I
Hmm.
was talking to, when I was still running my race, Nate, I was talking to a woman that's got to be early 60s, right?
Hmm.
And I told her, I was in the middle of explaining something, and I came across the idea that the two-party system is not constitutional. It's not a constitutionally
No.
protected system. And her eyes opened big, and she's like, "What do you mean?" I said, "Nowhere in the founding documents does it have us establish a conservative and a liberal party. In fact, George Washington was very clear in his farewell address that we should avoid parties like the plague." And
Hmm.
could you imagine a world, Nate, where we have elections with ballots that don't have any letters next to people's names? It's like,
That
hey,
would be
hey,
fantastic.
did you listen to them? Did you listen to their ideas? Do you like their ideas? We need to get to a point in America where we start evaluating candidates based on the content of their character and what they're proposing and what they're promoting out there, right? Like RFK, you're going to talk about him a lot over the next year because I think, you're definitely a bigger supporter of him so far
Oh
than
yeah,
I am. But
that's right now. That's my guy.
if he speaks to you, right, and you like the ideas and you vetted him out and you've listened to him in long form, that's never a wasted vote, y'all. Right?
Hmm.
Cornel West is probably the most progressive person in this race. He literally should be more popular to the far left than Joe Biden is. Joe Biden is one of the most unpopular presidents that we've had. And let me make it very clear. I've been watching the polls on Real Clear Politics, okay? There's not many polls in which Biden beats Trump. And that's even with the assumption that Trump is elected via a jail cell. Okay.
Hmm.
If you Democrats are watching this, you need to get your head out of your ass and put somebody up. I know you guys are running a shadow campaign for Gavin Newsom. And
Oh
that's
yeah.
smart. But why don't you man up and say what you guys are really
Yeah.
trying to do?
Yeah. Well, see, that's the thing. And what they're also not doing, and what they haven't done for a very long time,
Mm-hmm.
is listen to
Yeah.
the people, listen to their voters. They stabbed Bernie Sanders in the back twice.
Twice. Twice.
You think if they ran Bernie Sanders instead of Hillary Clinton, we would have had Trump in the first place? I
100%
do,
no.
I don't think
I
so
would
at
have
all.
voted. I would have voted for Bernie.
Bernie, you know, here's the thing, and here's kind of how I vote, right? I know I think I might be in the minority when I say this, but I understand that I'm not going to agree with everything
Yeah.
that, that the candidate that I want says. What is most important to me is, do I believe that they believe what they're saying,
Yeah.
right? One, Trump. Dude should have stayed an entertainer. He's an amazing entertainer. I think he's hilarious. I think he's funny. All of that. I think there was a lot of potential there, but I think we're just past the point of polishing that guy up to be a statesman. He can't be a statesman. He
No.
just can't do it. There's also ego issues, and
Yeah.
there's
Big
there's
time.
a lot of issues there, right? I give him a lot of credit for a lot of things,
Mm-hmm.
but don't think that I don't think he's the best person to be president. I think Joe Biden has a ton of experience in DC, which,
Mm.
to be quite frank, I think is a con. I
Swamp.
don't think it's a good thing. Yeah,
Swamp. He's a
but
swamp
it
member.
but at least back in the day, he knew how things operated. He
Yeah.
knew how to speak. He
Mm-hmm.
knew how to do the stuff, right? He just doesn't have that anymore. He's
Mm-mm.
gone. He's gone. So let's excuse me. So let's say Trump versus Biden. For me, it's Trump, simply because Trump can actually speak and put sentences together and doesn't forget where he's at. He's not too far behind in age from Biden, right? But
Mm-mm.
Biden is dangerous in a different way than Trump is. And I would also like to point out that here on November 28th, 2023, we've had a lot of stuff going on internationally. And for all
Mm.
the people that were screaming that Trump was going to take us into World War III, I'm sorry, but I hope you feel dumb. All right. I really do. I really do. All right. That's enough defending Trump. But the Democrats are not listening to anybody.
No.
And what they're trying to force their way,
Mm-hmm.
and take elections, take fraud out of the equation completely. What they're just trying to rig it from ground zero, right? They're trying to rig the whole thing to where Democrats just, they decide who they want to be in office. That's the person that they prop up, no matter what happens in the primaries. Let's be honest,
Oh, for
right?
sure.
Because
Super
again,
delegates is the
look,
biggest fucking
look,
scam of all time.
yeah. Again, look what happened to Bernie,
Yeah.
right?
Twice. Two
So
times.
the Democrats are just trying to be in charge without being properly elected,
Mm-hmm.
right? Now I know we can say the same things about January 6th and Trump and all of that, but on the whole, well, Republicans do a lot of gerrymandering. We've talked about that, right? So I gotta
Miserable.
I gotta
Miserable.
I gotta throw that out there.
Cheating.
But right now with
Scary.
candidates, what we can give to the Republicans is that obviously Trump is going to be the guy,
Yeah.
but they're still running primaries. They're still running debates for other candidates.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I understand that that's not traditional when you have an incumbent president, so I don't totally fault the Democrats for not running,
I mean,
not running debates.
I do.
I do, but operating in the current system, I mean, I don't blame them, but I do blame them for not taking anyone else seriously, not addressing the real and legitimate concerns that the majority of people in this country now have about our current president. They are not doing anything about it, and they don't care.
They're trying to
They don't
pretend
care about us.
they're trying to pretend that he's all there. Like, let's just be honest for a second. We all see it. Even Saturday Night Live makes fun of him. He's not all there. It is elder abuse what you're doing to this man, and all in the sake of power. And here's the problem that I have with with both parties, to be honest. They're both fucking spineless. They are spineless. Think about it on this hand. The Republicans know that Trump is probably the most unpopular candidate they have, right? Truth. A vast majority of the Republican base or the Republican electorate does not want Donald Trump. You have his MAGA followers. Those people are going to follow him to the end of the earth. He can do no wrong, so on, so forth. Okay. But when you look at the numbers, the disapproval rates for both of these guys are relatively the same, right? No one wants Biden and no one wants Trump. They want two new options, and both parties have basically said, fuck off. We don't care what you think. And that is our problem with this two-party system. I'll go back to the analogy that I always give. We are currently treated like the person giving the pitch on Shark Tank, right? Our politicians sit behind their fancy desks with their scotch on the right, legs crossed, kicked back, ready to hear what we want to pitch to them. And we come in there and we make our plea for what we want to happen in our country, right? That's not how this should work. Politicians should be coming to us and making a pitch to us, not dictating to us through some party bullshit who we have to vote for, right? And then tell us if we start looking at a third party, because you guys don't listen to us. Oh, you are trying to destroy democracy? We're destroying democracy? Us. Stop it. You got something to share?
Yeah. Well, just I was looking for a funny meme, and I came across this one, and this works too.
Yeah,
this works too. And who is it? The comedian. His name will come to me, but he has a very famous clip talking about Americans having the illusion of choice, right? Talking about the things that don't matter, we have a ton of choice, right? How many different flavors Oreos can we get?
Yeah. I like
how many political parties do we have?
Way more than two.
Well, you
no,
wouldn't know it.
We got the Green Party, we got the Libertarians, we got a bunch of like obscure parties. But see, in a system like England or anywhere that has a parliamentary system, they will have a percentage of parliament that supports that platform, right? And as their numbers grow, their ability to affect change in Congress will grow. Not that I'm definitely not advocating for us moving towards a parliament system or a parliamentary system. However, but the point still being, guys, we don't have to take their shit. We don't have to listen to them. The only thing that we have to do as American citizens is organize.
Yeah.
Right? As American citizens, we need to come together and stop the nonsense and the bickering and the bitching and the moaning. We can find common ground on things. Let me give you an example. And I know this is probably more of a touchy subject, but when it comes to abortion, right? The statistics and the data show when you poll Americans, a vast majority of people want abortion to be legal and limited. Now, all we really have to do as the citizens is decide where we want that limit to be, 16, 24, 20 weeks, whatever. And then this should be a done deal. This should be solved, right? We should be making these type of decisions. It shouldn't be us electing people who are going to give us things that we don't want. Because even here in Texas, right, we as we were surveyed at some point, and it was like 60 something percent of people wanted to be legal and limited to a certain degree. I think we agreed somewhere between 16 and 20 weeks. We got a 6 week ban here. Now, for just
6 weeks,
that's unreasonable. I didn't even know that my wife was pregnant with my first child until she was almost 8 weeks.
yes, yeah, same with our last, you know, and don't get me wrong. I mean, you know, we feel certain ways about that
Yeah.
topic, but you know, it's difficult one. I think for men especially, right? Because at the end of the day, we don't really have any say, right? We definitely have a dog in that fight, but we don't have any say
For sure.
when it comes down to it, you know. And it's not our choice to make as well. Now I disagree when we get yelled at, you know, that we're not supposed to have opinions on things because we're men, right? I mean, hey, men and women have to work together to move forward in this life and to move forward in this country, in this world, right? I mean, we all have to work together, but yeah, that one I don't quite understand, and you might be able to help me with this, right? You're very, very educated, smart man. Why did they repeal Roe v. Wade in the first place?
They didn't repeal it as much as they put the decision in the hands of each state. So this was a practice in federalism. So they said instead of the federal government dictating to the states what they must or must not do, we are going to send this decision back to the states. But this goes back to me begging and pleading for the American people to pay attention. Because truthfully, today, your governor, for you women, your governor is the most important election that you can participate in. Your governor and the party that holds power in your state house and your state senate is going to set the tone for stuff like abortion. A lot of the decisions that are coming down from the Supreme Court in this new, you know, this new conservative majority, it's sending things back to the states, right? No one banned abortion. No one said abortion is now done with in the whole United States. They said it is up for the states to decide. And I think that's one of the things that people missed in this conversation. So you guys really need to pay attention to your state houses, right? You guys need to pay attention to who your elected representative is in your state, right? Not the one that goes to Washington. You have a state senator. You have a state house member. You have a governor. You have a lieutenant governor. Pay attention to who those people are.
It's
right?
it's a big deal. It's a big deal because like okay, we're talking about California, San Francisco being cleaned up, right? It's not Joe Biden that rolled in there. It's not the federal government that rolled in there and did that. That's that state government, right? It's the state government proving they can take care of the city if they want to, right?
Yeah.
But you're absolutely correct, and that highlights the point of, you know, we really have kind of 50 autonomous countries, really, and we call them states, and it's, I mean, it's pretty wild, right? Like take Texas for example.
Yeah.
You know, you might have somebody over in like Moldova, right? And I'm no shade on the Moldovan people. I'm sure they're super smart, right? But let's say some Moldovan farmer who doesn't know what a republic is, right? And he might have this idea from TV or whatever that you know, Americans are like Texans, right? Yo, if you're a blue hair living in Chicago, you know, how much different is your life than somebody, you know, than a cowboy in Texas, right?
Yeah.
It's so different. I mean, each state has massively different cultures and everything, you know. And yeah, you're absolutely right. People don't pay attention to local government, and local government at the end of the day is going to have the biggest day-to-day impact on your lives.
Yeah. And that goes back to what I'm saying, guys. Your vote. You want to talk about the Second Amendment, you want to talk about weaponry, your vote is the most important weapon that you have. And in all honesty, again, I'm gonna say this a lot during these podcasts. Our ability as citizens to organize for the benefit of ourselves is the most important thing we could do. It's the most important thing we could do because these parties are distractions. And I know we all want a sense of community. I know we all want to be a part of a group that believes similar things and have like minds around, but you don't grow that way, right? You grow when you're exposed to different ideas. You grow when you spend time talking to people that have different perspectives than you, right? And I promise you this, I've done a lot of talking to people of all over the political spectrum. We are not as far away from each other as people think. Do not let CNN and Fox News get you confused. You guys are everybody in this country, the vast majority of us are center right, center left, but the key word there is center, right? There's very few extremists on the right or the left, but they have the biggest microphone. The only way we can shut that shit down is to organize, hence the Common Sense Corps. Join a group like this. Join a community of thinkers like this where we want perspectives from everybody. I mean, Nate here is more libertarian, center, right? Maybe a little bit center left, center right. I'm a little bit further on the left on some things. I'm pretty far right on other things. I've got a smorgasbord going on here, but I just want things to make sense. Right.
That's the thing. Makes sense. You know.
Yeah.
None of this intellectual laziness.
Yeah. Or dishonesty. And they're like, here.
Oh, we lost you for a second. Now you're back. All right.
Am I back?
Yep.
Yeah. Do you have? I think Nate, we have a clip that we want to share with you viewers before we let you go. You want me to pull that up?
Yeah. You wanna touch on wokeness, or you wanna save that for next time?
I think 45 minutes, 46 minutes in, man, we'll have to make wokeness our next episode. And guys, you won't want to miss that, because I think the one thing that we haven't done a lot of in this society that that consistently uses the word woke is actually define it. And I think that'll be a fun episode. Was that what the clip was for this this one that you had pulled up?
No, this is about the illusion of choice. So it's George Carlin, a very famous comedian.
Yeah.
And it's kind of a perfect ending point. I hope I have, I hope I have the right clip here.
If not, maybe we can get some laughs out of it, minimum.
Let's see. All right, we can't share window because we need sound, so we got to go entire screen. No big deal.
All right, let me know when, big man.
All right, all good.
All right.
Oh, look, Bill Maher looking young.
He looked old even when he looked young. All right, let's share sound. We got
comedian, his newest book, Napalm and Silly Putty, is #1 on the New York Times bestseller list. The man who made Harry Potter cry. George Carlin, ladies and gentlemen. There you are. Thank you. Hi, Robert. How do you do, Howard? How you doing? Good to see you. Okay. Last week, paper front page, Bush picks industry insiders to fill environmental posts. A mining industry lobbyist is the number 2 at the Interior Department. A lobbyist for the National Cattlemen's Beef Association is the chief lawyer. The number 2 at the Environmental Protection Agency, a lobbyist for Monsanto, the chemical company now devoted to agribusiness. The chairman of the Council on Economic Equality, a lawyer who represented General Electric in its fight with the EPA over toxic waste sites. Folks, to say the fox is guarding the hen house, to say that the Nazis are running the Nuremberg trials, to say that the candy man is the dentist, the Corleone family is the head of the gambling commission here. I mean, it's obscene.
Phil, back to earth, please. What we now have are people who are competent in the fields that they are working on. We now know more about environmental responsibility.
Because they're used to evading them.
Because they understand.
You have to give them credit for one thing. You have to give them credit. They're out in the open now. They're out in the open now. They're not even trying to conceal it anymore. The owners of the country they got their election. They said, we're going to get this election. We put you people in that court for a reason.
All right,
now's
back
the time
to earth for you now.
Forget all that stupid. They're out in the open.
There is
They're openly driving the bus, and we're all in the back.
There is no national conspiracy to buy elections and control America.
Right here.
Now that's
Bullshit.
That's part of the problem. I don't challenge the facts that you present, that those backgrounds are there. What I challenge is the idea that there's some kind of conspiracy
Now
about
I
this.
get to talk.
What we don't have, what we haven't had, let me just make this quick point. What we haven't had is a serious question about what to do with all of the energy needs that we have in America. A bunch of liberals want to tell people you can't drive this car, you can't have these lights on, you can't have a swimming pool. That's the attitude of people who don't understand.
Because you don't need a formal conspiracy.
Right.
When interests converge, these people went to the same universities and fraternities. They're on the same boards of directors. They're in the same country clubs. They have like interests. They don't need to call a meeting. They know what's good for them, and they're getting it. And there used to be 7 oil companies. There are now 3. It will soon be 2. The things that matter in this country have been reduced in choice. There are 2 political parties. There are a handful of insurance companies. There are about 6 or 7 information things. But if you want a bagel, there are 23 flavors because you have the illusion. You have the illusion of choice.
Right.
You don't get the real important choice. There's no
Exactly.
freedom of choice.
That's a great point. Right.
Hey, man, where did they find that black Republicans? What I want to know. Where did they find that joker at talking about some? Oh, it's not a listen, man. Those positions were bought and paid for by those companies to ensure that their agenda was met. Plain and simple. We all know this. Look what's going on today, right?
Yeah.
You don't hear about half of the cabinet positions, but most of them are from the 7 or 8 major industries, right? They're executives in these industries. It's all smoke and mirrors, guys. That was a great clip, Nate.
Yeah, I love that one. We'll do more of those. I genuinely believe that one of the first of all, comedy is my favorite art form. All right, I like art. All right, I'll put it out there. I do like art a lot, but comedy is my favorite form of art, and comedy really holds a mirror to society and what we're doing and where we're going, right? And it forces us to look at things. And I think through comedians and comedy, we're going to keep this country going, right? I mean, you look at who all the popular people are, right? Joe Rogan is the most popular and famous media person on the planet right now.
Mm-hmm.
Dude's a comedian, right? All his friends, the Joe Rogan effect, right? All Joe Rogan's buddies, very, very successful podcast. All comedians, right? But no, it's absolutely, he absolutely hits it on the head, though. I mean, you don't need a formal conspiracy when your interests are aligned.
Yeah.
And that is what happens when you get to the top. It doesn't matter what party you're in. Your interests are now aligned, and your interest, it becomes your wallet. Your interest becomes your power and position and what you need to do to hold on to it. And don't for one second ever let anybody tell you any different.
Very well said. And I think we will put a fork in it there. Y'all, thank you so much for tuning in today to the Common Sense Core podcast. If you didn't read the ticker, please help us grow this movement. All right. Like this video, leave us a comment on what you think based on what you heard. And please don't forget to subscribe. We need the subscribers. We need to spread this message of unity amongst the people rather than the parties. And we're just really excited to continue this super fun podcast. If you didn't notice our new background and all this super fun stuff, we're really excited to bring this stuff to y'all on the next episode. You'll see something different. We're really excited to bring that to you. But until next time, I'm Nate.
You're Nate. I'm Kelvin.
Got it.
Got it. You got me. Hey, real quick though. Also, follow us on X, Facebook, Twitter. Oh, excuse me. X is Twitter. So follow us on X, Facebook, Instagram, and what's that one? TikTok.
Tiki-taki. I'll get you on that. You'll see
Tiki-taki. All right. Follow us on the socials. We'll post. We post some little clips here and there too. Fun stuff for everybody to read and watch.
All right, y'all. Take care. Until next time.
Peace.